I was only asked by Edward late yesterday to come and join this event, so I think I've got enough time to gather more evidence either for or against HKEJ. So what I'm going to share in the next 10 minutes will be a more general picture about the freedom of press, which I have spoken for many times during my 1 year sabbatical in Taipei, because Taiwan and Taipei, they're also very much concerned about press freedom. That is, they're very much concerned about the erosion of press freedom as what Hong Kong people are now feeling. So I will end up this very short presentation with some observations on HKEJ. Okay, so but please be patient with the first 80% of it, which is a more general picture about the decline in press freedom. Now, this is a very thoroughly done research and published by the National Endowment of Democracy late last year, and it has offered some findings which I think relate to the situation of press freedom in Hong Kong. It says that China, like many other authoritarian regimes, are trying to dominate the media in order to, protect itself, protect its survival. Basically, it tries to force the media to put forth some pro-government narratives front and center. Okay, so we need to ask whether that has also happened in Hong Kong. And then 4 strategies were used by China and by many of the current regimes around the world. First one is direct action by the diplomats, local officials, security forces, and regulators. Actually, about 2 years ago, when CY was running the race for the CE, it has been reported, even by HKEJ, that the de facto embassy of Beijing in Hong Kong, the China's liaison office, has intervened with the way that the media reported, including one of its mid-rank officials called up HKEJ trying to exert pressure on how that kind of news were reported. So it did happen in Hong Kong. And secondly, economic chaos and stakes. Now many people, many readers, including I myself, have a hypothesis that perhaps after the change in the owner of the HKEJ, Beijing has exerted economic chaos, which it did it in a very successful way, okay, to compel HKEJ's new owner to shift his stance from being liberal to being ultra-conservative. Indirect pressure applied through proxies, advertisers, satellite firms. Now, this has also happened since late last year and early this year. We have heard for many times that not only Chinese banks in Hong Kong withdrew the advertisement from Apple Daily, but also 2 international banks. One is HSBC, the other is Standard Chartered. They withdrew the advertisement from a newspaper that enjoyed the highest, if not the second highest circulation in Hong Kong. When the former second highest official, Anson Chen, asked HSBC to explain and to make a pledge that it did not have any intention to interfere with press freedom by that kind of acts vis-a-vis the Apple Daily, HSBC did not answer. It did not make such a pledge. Okay. So I will leave it to you to think what has happened. Co-opting owners of media outlets in Hong Kong. I will elaborate a bit. Okay. Anyway, now objectively speaking, there has been a very similar finding from international agencies. The first one is Reporters Without Borders. Shockingly, it highlighted the fact that Hong Kong press freedom in 2002 was ranked the 18th in the world, which was the best in Asia in that year, the best, virtually the highest in Asia. Now it fell to 61, worse than, I guess, a number of developing countries. Okay. If you look at the Freedom House, similar picture was given. Now, the higher the higher the level, the worse the press freedom. So, but then it showed a similar pattern. Okay. So I think, yeah. And then if we refer to one veteran journalist, Ms. Maggie Tang, the former chair of Hong Kong Journalists Association, she has divided into 3 stages of how Beijing interfered with our press freedom. For the second phase, which ran from 2003 to 2011, Beijing tried to destroy or remove some media critics against the CCP. Whether Epstein was another victim, again I leave it to you to think. Okay. And then co-option. Okay. Beijing used political option to absorb the media tycoons or their boards. Okay. Now this is a let me see. This is a diagram published in a top economic journal, namely China Quarterly. It chronicles how the media tycoons were absorbed into various pro-China bodies, either before or after the hangover. Okay, and it also highlighted the simultaneous shifts in the stance. Okay, the newspapers, most newspapers, the editorials, they tend to give a more favorable light for the Beijing stance in the contents of their editorials. And see, and this is another similar picture. More positive comments given by various newspapers since 1997. Okay, and then the third phase. Okay, I'll try to cut it short. The first phase ran after late 2012. That is after so-called the temporary victory of the anti-national education campaign. Okay. Since that stage, according to Matt and some other academics, both Hong Kong government and Beijing has stepped up the pressure, and the Hong Kong SR government has increased the cold store meetings to disseminate highly selected information to pro-Beijing media. Okay, so Apple Daily or 852, so on and so forth, they might be excluded in cold store interviews run by the Hong Kong government. So again, this is against the principle of press freedom. A rise in the violence against journalists. Okay, the topping of Mr. Lau Junho of Hong Kong Main Town Daily is one noticeable example. And then Beijing has also exerted more direct visible pressure to constrain press freedom, like the interference with legislature's attempt to investigate the issuing of a free-to-air television license in 2013. Okay. They have become more patent, more direct, more blunt. Okay. And the more critics of the government were dismissed, not from the newspaper this time, but from the radio. Okay. So it kept on happening. Ms. Li Weiling was not the first, of course. We have seen a number before her case emerged. And then, yeah, I mentioned this already. So what are the effects? Okay, already we're coming to an end. Now, according to cross-national research, if we see a decrease in press freedom, it will be negative for economic development because it will hamper free flow of information. It will hamper the vibrancy, especially for financial centers, according to a number of famous international research, including one done by a Yale professor in finance. Okay, and of course it is also very negative for the strengthening of civil society, the strengthening of democracy. This does not do any good for not only for our economy but also for our political stability. Okay, because if there are more suppressions of human rights and civil society in the medium and long term, more movements of occupation and even direct confrontations against the government and police will be expected to happen. What about the Hong Kong EJ? I think I read Hong Kong EJ perhaps even a few years earlier than my neighbor Edward. Okay. I started reading it, I don't know when, right? Maybe since I entered the university when I was an undergrad. And it so happened that I live in the same area, actually in the same estate as the former highly respected editor of HKEJ, Mr. Tan Kim Cheung. Okay? We lived in the same district for the same estate for 10 years. Okay? We ran into each other from time to time when we have a casual walk in the promenade. Anyway, HKEJ was a must for me to read for many years, for more than 2 decades. However, in the last 2 years, again, I increasingly became very impatient. Okay? I found that when you look at the percentage of commentaries, okay, 評論版, I guess before the shifting of the chief editor to Ms. Kwok, most of the comments, I would say 80% roughly, okay, 80% of the comments were of high quality, at least in the context of Hong Kong. And they were liberal, okay? They were supportive of human rights, they were even supportive of democracy. But in the last 12 months, if not more, the trend has exactly been reversed. About 80%, if not more, of the commentaries were extremely conservative, politically conservative, and then the quality of the comments were extremely poor, okay? There's no intrinsic reason to reject anybody writing or saying some conservative comments, but that if they are not based on sound arguments or solid facts, then the conclusion will be debatable, will be very dubious. Okay? And from time to time in the last 1.5 years, I find those commentaries not only ultra-conservative, but rather shallow and based on a lot of misleading factual statements. Let me quote you one example. In the last 2 months, one full-time advisor for Hong Kong SL government Central Policy Unit has written a number of articles trying to argue that there's no international standard of democracy, and even there's an international standard, the standard is not clear, and even if it is not clear, even if it is clear, it does not apply to Hong Kong. Now, all those arguments were. All those arguments missed a lot of factual statements that would simply turn upside down, simply shift the conclusion. For instance, he never mentioned that ICCPR has issued some other newer provisions that stated very clearly that if a government restricted the nomination of certain citizens from running for the chief executive based on political opinions, that is regarded as one of the typical examples of unreasonable restriction, and that will lead to a direct contravention of the ICCPR, okay, which is one of the official, which offers one of the official definition of universal suffrage. So you see many of those misleading, low-quality comments, which, whether it is just a coincidence or not, they're simply for Beijing. Okay, they're simply for Beijing in a very blunt and shallow manner. So now, together with the fact that a famous online newspaper, the House News was compelled to close down, I guess it is in the interest of the Hong Kong community, including the financial community as well as the international community, to see the resurgence of a more vibrant and liberal media culture in Hong Kong. Actually, in late September, a former chairperson of the Hong Kong Journalists Association, Serene Wu Laiwan, she will organize a 2-day international seminar investigating different aspects of how to strengthen freedom of press in Hong Kong. The first day is open door, open to everyone. Okay, and senior journalists from Malaysia and other Asian countries will be invited to come and share. Okay, because Hong Kong's press freedom is in a very dire, serious situation. There's a big chance that our rating, okay, according to these international agencies, will fall further in the next year, in the next assessment. Right now, I would say that we can only find 1.5 pieces of newspapers with hard copies that are daring of more critical of Hong Kong SL government. Okay? One is Apple Daily. The other half is, I would say, Ling Pao Daily. Many others, I would say, they are extremely pro-government, including HKEJ. And therefore, I will not shy away from making it public in my lecture theatres, telling my students that that's how I categorize HKEJ. And I would advise them to not just read this newspaper, read it very carefully, try to compare with others, not only read Hong Kong newspapers, read other foreign sources, and try to read more the online ones, which have some more courageous and daring voices. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sing Ming. Now, before we go to Q&A, I already asked two members from OCLP Finance Group to talk about their feeling about this Hong Kong EJ that they used to love. Now that I'm just asking them to still continue, supporting some columnists, Lam Hang Zi, supporting Li Zhang, and Hong Kong EJ Online. I also would like to ask one of our members, Edward Chen, who just arrived here, talk about his feeling about with Hong Kong EJ. Edward, 你用中文講先，用英文再講。
中文先啦。咁呢個信報咧，其實我都讀咗大概有9年至10年到啦。咁就其實係香港一張少有咧比較持平嘅報紙嚟嘅。咁其實都同在座兩位都一樣個睇法就係近期嘅信報咧係佢好似係想比較持平一啲佢就會變咗係有好多嘗試係加一啲支持政府或者係唔係太批評政府嗰啲嘅言論或者專欄喺度。咁但係好不幸地咧，我而家即係見到就係阿 Ed 寫咗咁耐啦，咁就佢無奈地係要停止。咁同埋呢個所謂嗰個所有啲專欄咧。就我覺得而家係比較係真係比較偏重咗一邊。咁作為一個讀者咧，即係唔好話我係金融組或者唔係金融組咧，係有啲失望嘅。咁我見得香港其實持平嘅報紙咧已經係越嚟越少嘅。咁所以其實如果照我自己嘅睇法，就係嗰個新世代咧，慢慢都唔會再睇一個所謂嘅主流傳媒。咁即係呢度可能有好多主流傳媒喺度啦，但係即係其實新世代好多都已經係經網絡去獲得佢嘅資料，就唔會去睇電視或者聽電台或者即係再睇傳統報紙。咁我諗呢一個所謂嘅趨勢咧係會越嚟越強烈咯。咁在我嚟講，當然如果信報係開始偏袒咗，比較係支持政府嗰邊嘅，咁我嘅選擇就係我會唔睇咯。咁唔睇嘅時候，我其實都有其他地方可以得到財經資訊啊，或者其他社會政治資訊嗰方面。咁但係都希望咧，即係信報嘅所有編輯咧，即係自己撫身自問咧，大家都係香港人。咁係咪真係要咁跪低先揾到錢咧？咁係咪唔跪低就冇錢揾咧？咁即係呢個留待大家自己去分析。
Yeah, and maybe repeat in English.
Just summarize what I have talked about in English. I've been the Hong Kong EJ readers for almost like 9 years now, and I used to think that Hong Kong EJ has been really balancing both sides of comments, quickly pro-government or criticize the government, so which was a good thing. But recently, all the events that happened, especially for Ed Chin's his column, has been stopped. That basically has a really negative impact to so-called freedom of press, so to speak. So, as a reader, I think I have a choice. If Hong Kong EJ continue to be very biased and move towards like a government tone, I would stop reading the newspaper. I would switch to some other newspaper, or I would just simply go for the internet or the new media to obtain all the information. And I guess a lot of young people or the new generation, they no longer rely on the so-called mainstream media. They don't obtain information through televisions or traditional newspapers or even radio. They just they got online and they obtain all the information. So I guess this would be the new trend. But sincerely, I would really like to convey the message to those who manage Hong Kong EJ that we are all Hong Kong locals. We want to protect Hong Kong. We want to fight for real democracy in Hong Kong. So I think they should have their consciousness to really think about whether this is the right way to do. I know it's very difficult to survive under the current situation in Hong Kong. Everybody seems like you have to pro Beijing. If you don't pro Beijing, I mean, that's the end of your career or your business. But I think this is a big question for everyone, especially those in the media industry. Everybody should have a review and think about this.
Thank you, Edward.